Philly's best, R&B at WX 105.3 WDAS. It is Headlines. Good Sunday morning. My name is Frankie Darcell. Thank you to all who are listening here in the city of Philadelphia, throughout the region, the state, and of course via our iHeartRadio app, not only across the Commonwealth, but around the country and around the world. You can always download the iHeartRadio app at iHeartRadio.com. Here is where we discuss the issues important to you. Particularly this particular week, we're going to talk about what a busy week or a weekend as of a weekend ago. Just a lot going on as we get ready and prepared for the November election. So that you know, October is the final day in the Commonwealth to register to vote for the November 5th election. So make sure that you are registered to vote. There is no option not to vote. And maybe we'll have an opportunity to talk about that because you know, I've spoken with some people even this week who said, I don't participate in the programs or I don't participate in the process. You know, I found that to be very interesting because one of those individuals receives federal grant money for a program that they're working on. But you don't vote, though. See, I think if you don't participate in the process, you shouldn't benefit from the city, county, state, or federal grants and programs available. If you opt out of the process because you're grown, just don't vote, then why do you participate in the process? Why do you benefit? Look, Rocky, hot. Why do you think you can benefit from the process? Those grants that are available, those grants are available because some legislator made sure that those grants, whether it be from Harrisburg, or whether it be from Washington, D.C. A legislator worked hard to get those grants to the community, and yet you benefited but didn't participate in the process. Shame on you. Any program that you participate in or service you receive, including the free lunch program. Trust me, there's a fight for that. Move to Louisiana. They took that program away. The governor, I'm just saying. So, vote. Participate in the process. We'll see if we can talk about that coming up in just a little bit. But what an amazing week. First of all, a week ago, on Saturday, former President Donald Trump was speaking at an event here in the Commonwealth, just about 390 miles outside of Philadelphia. It was in Butler, Pennsylvania, a suburb of Pittsburgh. A young man, teenager, a individual who was a registered Republican. You know, it's interesting this week they made note that at some point, you know, when he was like, 14, 15, made a contribution to a, quote, organization. I'm like, you just don't want to say he one of yours. I'm just saying, right? But registered Republican and went to this rally, which is a tragedy. He has since lost his life and others as a result of his action on that day, and shot at and attempted to assassinate the former president of the United States. We're going to talk about that coming up. We're going to also talk about just some things surrounding that because the president, President Joe Biden, as a matter of fact, made a phone call to the wife, as it's been reported, of one of the men who lost their lives, and she didn't take the phone call. Interesting. Didn't take the phone call. However, at this time of this show, the former president had not called and reached out at all. We're going to talk about all that coming up just a little bit. Plus, it is an interesting week. The Republican National Convention has wrapped up, and a VP choice has been selected. Let me introduce my guest. First time on the show, Napoleon Kincaid, welcome to Headlines. He is the senior writer for the Philadelphia Sunday Sun and the West Philadelphia Spirit. Welcome to Headlines. Good to have you in the studio.
Oh, it's an honor to be here with you.
Thank you. Thank you. We're going to have some great conversation. Good to have him back in the studio and joining me for this edition of Headlines, Reverend Dr. the Right Reverend Dr. Rocky Brown. He is the president and associate Brown and Associates out of Chester, Pennsylvania. Reverend Dr. Brown,
Good to be here, Frankie.
Good
once
morning.
again, yes.
Good morning. Let's start first with the shooting a week ago, Saturday in Butler. Your thoughts on that, and if anyone listening is a conspiracy theorist or think that this is fake news, that was a lot. That was going on a lot as well. And let me also let you know my associate producer, also serving as our intern, Reese Green. And I always like to get the perspective about young people, and we'll bring him in on the back end of the show. But he is producing my show and doing an outstanding job. Rocky,
There are so many discussions going on about this and theories that it was fake, that all of a sudden now he gets shot in the ear, he goes down, and instead of them continuing to cover him as they're lifting him up, he says, wait a minute, lifts up his fist, and it just happens to be a photo op with the flag behind, and he's got his fist ball firing, fight. But in the midst of all that, he's saying, get my shoes. Now, you're a millionaire. Why are you worried about shoes if you've been shot?
Mm-hmm.
It's something really funny about that,
Mm-hmm,
you know? And for a 20-year-old to be able to get on that rooftop with all that type of security, something's shaky about that.
You know, it was interesting to hear someone who covers the Secret Service, and they said my grandmother could have hit that shot from where he was. So there's a huge investigation, of course, going on within this Secret Service as well. And you've heard all the stories from they're short in terms of agents, and you know the 24-hour, especially during an election cycle, they work a lot. But clearly the ball was dropped. Let me get your thought on that, Napoleon.
Well, the part I don't understand, okay, as far as the kid, 20 years old, according to multiple reports, this kid wasn't a trained shooter.
Mm-hmm.
There was reports that he got kicked out of some type of school for shooting, and this kid just ran on adrenaline to shoot Donald Trump for personal reasons. To this day, you know, they have not found out the motive. They're still doing a major investigation of why he shot Trump. According to multiple reports also, his family are counselors, are trained
Therapists.
counselors.
Mm-hmm. And therapists.
Okay, and therapists.
Mm-hmm.
So my question is to the parents who are trained counselors and experts in doing therapy, what went wrong with the parenting of this 20-year-old shooter? That's what I want to know.
Let me ask both of you. Do you think this is, and I'll start with you, Napoleon.
Yeah.
Do you think that there's a sympathy vote, that there's been an increase of a sympathy vote for the former president as a result of the shooting? I'll start with you, Napoleon.
I say for the Trump supporters, it is tremendous sympathy, because he's been fighting to get back in office and going through all the series of convictions and felony charges and everything. Yes, because, you know, they believe Trump is a fighter.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
They believe Trump is not going to give up on being a president again in this country.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I think the Trump supporters are really hyped up and feel great sympathy for Trump, you know, after being shot, because it's like, you know, it's like the saying, he took a bullet. He took a bullet for the Republican Party.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Let me ask you. So, and the reason I bring this up to that point,
Okay.
because you know Facebook is public. On your page, your Facebook is a public document, right?
Yes.
On your page, you mentioned Philadelphia's Amber Rose.
Oh yeah.
You posted about Amber Rose. She spoke at the Republican National Convention, and I just happened to notice though on one of the posts where someone challenged her authenticity of the comments she was making, you actually challenged that person. Why?
I challenged
you
that.
agree, or did you disagree with Amber Rose or not?
I agree with Amber Rose
In that-
according to her
in that-
story about her father. She confided in her father in becoming a Trump supporter because at the beginning of her speech, she talked about how she went to her father and questioned if Trump was a racist. And her father said, no, he's not a racist.
Mhm.
So that drew her to do her own research to find out if he's really a racist or are they just saying, the public that he's a racist. So after she did her research, according to her, she said, no, Trump is not a racist,
And you agreed with that. Why?
I agree with him not being a racist because the fact
Please give me facts.
he has not
Please give me facts.
not really attacked the black community the way the black community thinks he attacked them. Okay? When he made statements about the Mexicans coming across the border, where he made statements
And
about
wait a minute. And the Mexicans coming across the border, calling them rapists, calling them
right.
indigents, calling them cheaters, and like, you don't think that's an attack
I think
on the Mexican
I think
community?
he acted on
No. I'm asking you a question. Calling them criminals.
No, it's not right.
But calling them people he's never met, and to blanket statement that those Mexicans that you referenced
Right.
coming across the border are
Right.
racists, are criminals, they're rapists, they are the worst of the worst that country has to offer. You don't believe that to be a racist statement about a group of people relative to your statement about the Mexicans?
I feel that Trump has.
No, I'm asking a question. You either do it. I just want you to answer that question first.
It's a racist statement.
but he's not racist.
It's a racist statement, and I'm trying to say something
ahead,
to
go
you
ahead, go ahead.
about this. Trump act off impulse.
How did you know that? How did you
I
know
believe Trump acts off what he sees in reports, what he sees, what the media is reporting. If Trump is researching certain information and he sees the statistics of Mexicans coming across the border and what percent of them are murdering people, the American people, he's going to act off the reports.
Now let me ask you this:
instead
you're a
of doing-
journalist, and you're a journalist,
Right.
right? What facts do you have that he has or has not done that you would make a statement that he's not racist? You or Amber Rose would make a statement that he's not racist because you believe he did research. And what does research have to do with an opinion about a group of people being rapists or criminals? Go.
I just feel that that's the way he does things. He hasn't never met a Mexican person or visit a Mexican community. Okay, so that's factual. Okay, but the thing about it, if you reading reports, you hearing NBC, CNN reporting certain murders across the country, dealing with Mexicans and other minority.
Other minorities like what? Black folk? Like people like me, you, and Reverend Dr. Rocky Brown? So are those the people you're talking about?
Unfortunately.
Oh, so and they're reporting on Mexicans and other minorities, excluding you.
I think he acts off of that, Frankie.
So is he talking about you or the people you know? Are the people
I don't murder people.
Okay, but you just
But I
agree.
write stories. I write
I
stories
know, but
about my
you was-
own community,
Which means-
murdering each other.
Okay, but I've never murdered anybody. Rocky, have you ever murdered anybody?
No.
I don't know, Reese.
Yeah, but
have you
I've
shot
done
anybody in your
stories.
life lately? I
I've
but
done
have you shot
stories,
anybody?
Frankie.
But have you shot anybody?
Black
Listen,
on black crime
people-
is still rampant.
And white on white crime is people commit crimes in the communities where they live, and people who they have a relationship with.
So
Are black folks the only
what are
ones?
the statistics of black on black crime in the last 5 years?
Okay, so which statistics
It's very
are you
high.
talking? But what we're talking, but
But
to your
crime is
point-
going down. I got to get in this, Frankie. You got to let me get in this.
Only this year it's going
let me
down.
Can I go back a minute?
Only
back
this year it's
to what you
going
said
down.
about
Okay.
Rocky?
about the
Go, go,
convention
go.
with the convention and this shooting. Oh, they've made him a divine person now, a divine person who God has protected.
Mm-hmm.
And that is God's intervention with this shooting. And now they're talking about it's God's will for him to be running for office. Yeah, he's not only going to get sympathy vote, but he's going to get those brainwashed folks vote who believe now God is in the midst of this, keeping Trump alive. That's one thing I wanted to say. The other thing I wanted to say, Trump is a racist. He has made racist remarks, and he has done racist things. When you say a whole group of Mexicans, that's racism. It's not just against black folks. That's when you group any group and you're claiming them to be a certain way, that's a racist statement. When he discriminated against black people when he was younger in housing, that was racism. You just don't change your spots. When he talked about black jobs, I want to know, what is a black job? That's a racist statement. You know, so for you to say he's speaking on impulse, yeah, he's speaking on impulse, what's in his heart and what he believes.
That's what I'm saying.
What did
That's
he say?
exactly
He's a
what I'm
racist.
saying.
Yeah, but he's speaking what's in his heart, and racism is there. He's a racist, and he don't have no problem with telling you that and showing that. And that's what he that's how he got popular before. He spoke to the minds of poor whites who felt discriminated against, and he made it seem like we're against them. If he wins, and if there's a so-called race war, it's going to be between...
All right, I want to make sure I go back because I want to get Napoleon's answer
go ahead.
on that. And I didn't know if you're going to respond. And I want you to be clear. We're talking about, we stopped that you're a journalist and you cover stories, crime, murder, death, killed, just like I do. And it is a stereotype, and one perpetuated by individuals in media to believe that the majority of the black community commit crimes. I could probably say to you, out of the four of us in this studio, if we think of 10 people, each of us know, because it's all by design. It is all by design. And when you buy into the narrative that the stereotype is relative, then you start to perpetuate the same ideologies of those people who want you to believe that every black person is a criminal. As you started your conversation talking about, well, I read the stories. He did his research. Mexicans who come across the border, well, that's what they are. What I read is that they're rapists and that, they're criminals and that they're bank robbers. Oh, well, that means all of them. You have to be very narrow-minded to believe that every person of Mexican descent that crosses the border is a rapist or is a criminal.
And the question is, who wrote the story?
Well,
That's
but wait. And I say this respectfully, and the whole idea of having this conversation is because, and Rocky, in the last couple of weeks, we've talked about even black men that are, because the narrative now is that more black men are going to vote for Donald Trump than any other group in this particular cycle. And if it's okay that I say, Napoleon, you're an African American man. I mean, he made a gym shoe just for you. You probably are more likely to vote for him because you know what it's like to get convicted of a crime, because black folks go to jail and they've got people who go to jail, so you can relate more to him now than you did in 2020.
And we wear sneakers.
Well, I said he designed
a
a shoe. He designed a shoe. First of all, do y'all own a pair?
No.
Well, you guys might be of a finer age, so they might not have been.
A pair of sneakers?
But I do believe
sneakers, but not that
I do believe that we should have both sides of the coin heard. So, Napoleon, whatever your position is, that's your position. I'm just believing in this forum, we're going to have a conversation about that position, if that's okay. No matter what your idea is, no matter what your opinion is, I believe that both sides of the opinion should be heard. But you got to bring some facts, because other than that, it's going to be backed up. I'm going to bring Reese into the conversation as well. I've got to take this break. It is 19 minutes past the hour. My name is Frankie Darcell. It's Headlines. My guest, Reverend Dr. Rocky Brown of the Brown and Associates, and also joining us, Napoleon Kincaid, senior reporter, writer for the Philadelphia Sunday Sun and the West Philadelphia Spirit, are my guests. We're going to be back after this.